everyone. Welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on China's television. I'm Sean Kimale in Abuja. So more is happening in the nation today. And, the central bank sat today. And, what the food inflation is and the headline inflation. And there are some decisions made by the CBN. And, of course, amidst all of the security challenges that the country is facing, what is the way forward for Nigeria? We'll be looking at some of the possible solutions to steering off what has become a major challenge confronted by the Tinubu government. Of course, the government has also come out to say it has launched or approved the infrastructure fund. What does this mean? Do we have the money? Where would the money be going to? Why did they decide on some of these sectors? What does this mean for the economy? And all of other issues that we'll be dissecting for you tonight. So stick around with me, everyone. But first and foremost, let's start you with some of your political roundup stories.
The Port Harcourt Division of the Rivers State High Court has ruled that Celestine Omehia is not a former governor of Rivers State and is not entitled to the pensions meant for former governors and their deputies. Justice Dakatima Kio, in a 97-page judgment ruling on the matter brought before the court by Mr. Omehia, notes that the counterclaim by the state government demanding that Mr. Omehia should repay the sum of 695 million naira was lacking merit, as it didn't compel anyone to pay him the money. Bishop Matthew Kuka, the Bishop of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Sokoto, has urged the federal government to demonstrate a clear commitment to addressing insecurity in the north. The bishop spoke with China's television during a function in Rivers State. He questioned why individuals claiming ties with bandits were not undergoing proper interrogation by the federal government. He criticized the president for what he perceived as an inadequate readiness to effectively address the long-standing issues of killings and insecurity in the north, which have remained unresolved for decades. Meanwhile, the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Oil, Mr. Heineken Lokpobiri, says the solution to Nigeria's numerous challenges lies in the petroleum sector. The minister stated this during a sectoral retreat organized by the Ministry of Petroleum Resources on ways to build synergy for enhanced development in the oil and gas sector. Mr. Lokpobiri charged the heads of agencies and top management staff of the ministry to work in unity in order to achieve the ministry's key performance indicators. A former Federal Commission of Information and Elder Statesman, Chief Edwin Clark, has condemned the killings of 17 soldiers in Okuoma community in Delta State, as he describes the act as barbaric and must be punished. At a news conference in Abuja, Chief Clark also condemned the invasion of his country home in Kiagbodo and that of his father in Ugeli by the military over allegations of harboring one of the suspects involved in the heinous act in Okuoma. The elder statesman, who decried the destruction of his country home, however, said that he has forgiven the military after receiving an apology from one of their commanders. The National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party today met with the chairman of the party across the state in Abuja. The meeting was presided over by the acting national chairman of the party, Mr. Umar Damangum, and had some members of the National Working Committee of the party in attendance. The meeting, which was held behind closed doors, enabled the National Working Committee interact with the officers of the party and review the tenure of some of its officers in the 26 states. Mr. Ajuji Hamid has been elected as the new acting national chairman of the new Nigerian People's Party, NNPP. This follows the resignation of Abba Kawali during the National Working Committee NWC meeting at the national headquarters in Abuja. Notes that his decision to resign as the acting national chairman was based on advice by his personal physician. Just a few weeks before the APC governorship primaries in Ondo State, one of the APC aspirants, Dr. Paul Akeredolu, has died. While the cause of his death is still unknown, Akeredolu's demise came days after the medical doctor turned politician raised an alarm about threats to his life. The Edo State chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Mr. Tony Azegbemi, has been released after being kidnapped by a gang of gunmen near his home in Benin City. He was set free by his abductors in the early hours of today and has returned to his Benin City residence around 3 a.m.
There you have it. You've been served with your political roundup stories. Let's get on to discussing some of the state of the nation matters now. The Nigerian naira has been struggling to stay afloat amidst the currency and exchange troubles and economic downturn that we have seen. some of these jolted because of the decision of government to remove subsidy, which was a major shock in the economy. Today, the Monetary Policy Committee, MPC, of the Central Bank of Nigeria hiked the benchmark interest rate by 200 basis points to 24.75%. And the communique read by the CBN Governor Yemi Cardoso after the second MPC meeting of his tenure in Abuja. The new interest rate is a jump from the 22.7% announced by the MPC about a month ago, and the second rate hike by the current committee. Mr. Cardoso announced that the retention of the cash reserve ratio, which is the CRR of deposit money banks, at 45%. However, the MPC adjusted the CRR of merchant banks from 10% to 14%. The committee also retained the liquidity ratio to 30%. Cardoso also noted that the MPC members believe the headline inflation in the country is triggered mostly by a hike in the cost of food. Today's MPC decision came amid the Nigerian authorities' clampdown on cryptocurrency platform Binance. Let me allow you to listen to Mr. Cardoso, a brief part of what he said today.
Members noted the continued rise in headline inflation, driven largely by food prices because of supply shortages and high costs of logistics and distribution. The committee, therefore, was of the view that addressing food insecurity is key to containing current inflationary pressures.
All right, that's a CBN governor there. But, I mean, a government that is battling with sustaining a policy that he made on the very first day of assuming office, and it's been hit heavily by insecurity challenges that perhaps he did not bargain for. And some of the discoveries that when he came into office, he started discovering, despite making huge promises at the campaign grounds. And now being hit also on left, right, and center, infrastructure problem, economic problem, unity problem, issues of security, and all what have you. Where can that government go? It's over 9 months since assuming office. They will be celebrating or marking a 1 year in office. How would you describe the Tinubu government's outing since they got into office in the last 9 months? We'll be focusing on some of the past days' events and what this means for the future of this country and how we can hold the country together. Let me allow you to listen tonight to my guest, who is a former Minister of Communications and a lawyer, Mr. Adebayo Shitu. Thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight.
It's my pleasure.
How difficult a time could it be for any government? I mean, do you ever think that the challenges could be this enormous?
Well, I would be surprised if anybody would tell you that the government is surprised at the situation of things. The Tinubu government knew that things had gone very bad and that it required a lot of courage to really face up to the challenges. So I believe that the government had bargained for this and that it is committed to rescue Nigeria from the problems associated with, governance over the years.
It is one thing to bargain that there is going to be a problem. It is another thing to envisage the enormity of the problem. And it is another thing to also bargain the manner in which you're going to solve the problem. So you imagine that based on the promises, renewed hope, the agenda of the Bola Tinubu government is taking slightly longer time to effect on the livelihoods and the food on the table of Nigeria. Look at the inflation rate. Look at the headline inflation. Things are really bad in the country.
Things are really bad. Of course, I know that things are really bad because I live in society and I am as equal a victim as any other person in Nigeria. But I want to give it to the government. The starting point we may want to remind ourselves is during campaigns, the 3 foremost presidential aspirants at that time all agreed that oil subsidy had to go. A situation where we have a country producing crude oil, which it became incapable of refining this oil The consequence of it is that you have to pay in dollars to transport the crude oil overseas to overseas refineries. You pay in dollars to refine overseas. You pay in dollars to bring back the refined petroleum products. That adds a whole lot of, cost to the final products. And we learned that government had to be borrowing money to subsidize. So we were merely postponing the evil day. And this is a man who came, he said, look, I'm not going to be public shy. I'm not going to behave as if, I have a magic wand. I'm not going to behave as if there are no problems. And the president actually went ahead to say that nobody should sympathize with him. That means that he could courageously face up to the challenges. And for me, so far, the journey may be tedious. The journey may be taking much longer time than anybody would have anticipated. But I want to believe that by the time the government is celebrating its first year in office, Nigerians would have started seeing a change in the situation.
It's going to be at less than 60 days before this time.
You see the problem.
You're sounding like a prophet right now.
Well, I am convinced of this.
So I'm looking at the reality of things on the ground.
Yes, the reality.
You look at the indices, the inflation rate, Mr. Shitu.
Well,
you look at, there are those who have blamed this government of the manner, the policy they made in the early days. And they've criticized this government. Some of these policies may have made some missteps.
What is the specific area of criticism, if I may ask?
Some have criticized the manner in which they went about the removal of the oil subsidy, which they would say is at the bottom line of all of the economic challenges and affected food prices.
Maybe Nigeria would have drowned by now in debts. Much more debts.
You don't think that there could have been a better way to manage?
Well, I don't know. Nobody has suggested a better way of doing things. Nobody, maybe
not announcing it on the first day.
Well, all the criticism, it will be a continuation of postponing the evil day. Because for every day that you are postponing the removal, you are incurring debts over debts and so on and so forth. Today, everybody agrees that states are richer. Even if the management of the added resources, we cannot express complete satisfaction.
Richard, it's also debatable because if you were collecting 70 billion at some point and you're being given 140 billion, at times where you're getting 70 billion, the free inflation is half that now you're getting 140 billion, you perhaps are getting the value.
It depends on management. Nobody has controverted the fact that Nigeria was living on borrowed times over the years because of this subsidy of oil. So I think what government must do and must be anxious to get done as quickly as possible is to get our refineries, which we have allowed to lay, fallow over the last 20, 30 years, to get all the refineries, not just one refinery, all of them, so that other countries now getting oil, to produce oil, even within West Africa. For instance, Ghana has recently discovered oil. A few other countries, even Senegal, if our refineries are working well, of course they will be coming to refine their oil here, and we'll be making a lot of dollars, a lot of foreign exchange.
Let's take a look at the crop of the team that the president had put together. And of course, you served in the Buhari government. And a lot of people have said that government in 8 years dragged Nigeria back, economically speaking. And you look at the team that the president has put together. It's 9 months now. What we got, the feeling we got was that there will be some intermittent appraiser of the performance of this cabinet member. It is not only President Tinubu that is in that cabinet. There are several others who are working in that cabinet.
I know that
from your point of view,
yes,
what would you, in the last 9 months, how would you appraise that cabinet?
Nobody would doubt the fact that one of the star ministers of this government is Mr. Olubunmi. He has brought a whole lot of transformation in the area of interior, passport, whatever, and diaspora issues. So we must give credit. We never had it, this good, in previous governments over the last 30, 40 years. Your conclusion on the Buhari government, about the fact that the allegation that it dragged Nigeria several years back, a lot of people, as an insider, I know that even though in some areas the Buhari government, cannot beat its chest and say it has done very well. But in the area of infrastructure development, I want to assure you that over the last 30 years, it's the best in terms of performance. Provision of infrastructure development, it did best. Look, the last government of of Jonathan, it budgeted only 19 billion for roads and public works. Only 19 billion. And I can bet you not a kobo of that 19 billion was spent on any road. When Buhari came in his first year, he not only budgeted but spent 265 billion on federal roads. And that is why you find roads like Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, which had been abandoned for more than 10 years. Resumption of work started and it's almost completed. In Oyo, Ogbomoso, Ilorin Road, similar action has been going on. You also recall that the Lagos-Ibadan train service and that of Abuja, Kaduna were done by the Buhari regime. So a government that has been able to achieve this much, again, you know that Wari Itapwe, rail services, was also done by the Buhari government. So when you are assessing a government, you don't just look at just one
It's not my own assessment.
No,
economists have said, and I've praised that economy-wise, Buhari government dragged us 20 years back.
I don't know how many years he did. If it indeed did that, I have considered to the fact that it may not have done well in all sectors. But at least I'm telling you that in the area of infrastructure development, and the support that infrastructure development gives to the growth of the economy. Mm-hmm. I mean, he did that very well, to his credit. No other government has done as much over the last 30 years in terms of infrastructure development. So, I mean, that too is a credit, for the Buhari government.
If you look at the kind of challenges that this government has faced, look at the decision of the CBN governor, look at the manner in which they handle the issue of Binance, which has, they say, about $25 billion when it was channeled through that funnel through the Binance platform without a trace, and the government is investigating it. There are those who are saying that there are fifth columnists that are trying to drag this country down. The kind of insecurity that we have also seen. And kudos to our security agencies for some of the rescue of the abducted persons that we have also seen. Would you say that there are those who are intentionally working
there's no doubt that
to drag the hands of clock back under this government?
There's no doubt that there will always be fifth columnists in every government. Not necessarily part of the government, but outside that, who are opportunistic and want to benefit, by cutting corners and by swindling, the nation, So these are realities. And I think we must also give credit to the Tinubu government for, trying to bust, the activities of Binance and all of that to the extent that they had to ban them and, they are in the process of prosecuting them. These are realities that the government has to face. And I am happy that government had the courage of challenging the continuing operation.
For someone who served in the federal cabinet, you must have seen a few things that this government is doing that you think they need to look at critically and fix. What area would that be for you?
You see, the area of subsidy, the area of, it's not subsidy, palliatives. You see, what Nigerians need most, because no matter how much you share palliatives, it will never go right. There will still be people in remote areas who would, be cut off from, really benefiting from it. If I have my way as an always, I would rather use those money, spend it in the area of the greatest desire of an average Nigerian, the area of free and compulsory education, the area of free health services. If Nigerians are sure that the education of their children and the health of the members of their family are taken off by government, there will be less anger. And people will struggle and say that government is doing these fundamental things for us, so we must, appreciate them and cooperate and collaborate and, forgive whatever other inadequacies there exist. So for me, that is a more meaningful thing, expenditure, because of the security implication. Our late leader, Chief Aulo, had said, if you fail to educate the children of the poor, they would ensure that your own children cannot sleep with both eyes closed. Come to think of it, today you have more than 20 million out-of-school children. That is a ready, production factory for bandits in the near future. Even the bandits of today became bandits because the society had abandoned them. And I mean, if you look at it, the other day, the Kaduna State governor was saying that there are more than 600,000, out-of-school children. If government refuses because you want to use money for some other things which are less important, at the end of the day, when these children, these abandoned children grow up and they see other people enjoying life, they see other people riding cars, wearing very good, dresses and living in good housing, you think they would just resign themselves to fate? They will take up arms in rebellion against society. So for me, my advice, and this will not be the first time that I'll be, campaigning, as it were, or advocating that government should reorder its priorities and rather spend money. The money which is being used for palliatives should be diverted for, establishment or expenditure on free and compulsory education, so that every child born in this country would be educated. Of course, once that is done, the quality of the individuals, would improve, and nobody who is educated would, in his right senses, think that he should be living in the forest or in the bush and, bearing arms.
I mean, this banditry matter and the insecurities that we have seen, it looks so much like there was a spike. What is the best ways to maneuver and kill?
For me, if I'm in position, it is not too late to use non-kinetic measures, in negotiating with bandits, giving them a promising future. Let us retain them. Many of them are very intelligent. Many of them, are able-bodied.
To negotiate with the terrorists?
For the purpose of resettling, rehabilitating, and retraining them.
Those who are bent on killing innocent people?
I have said it. What is the cause of they wanting to kill everybody? It is because society had abandoned them over the years.
Abandoned?
Yes,
we don't even know who these bandits are.
Well, we know that they are citizens of Nigeria.
Sometimes they say they are not.
Well, whether they are not, once we are within our territory, there must be a way. In Boko Haram, at the height of Boko Haram, when a lot of them were caught, of course they put them in camps and started reorientating them and all of that, and giving them skills and all of that. So the more skills you're able to give to the largest number of them, the less their propensity to go back. If they are assured that if promising future, erosive future awaits them after going through, this de-radicalization processes and, skills training.
So you are proposing...
Because at the end of the day, the amount of money we are spending on the armed forces to confront these people, it looks like their number is endless. Because in the bush, you have more than thousands of groups in the forest, particularly in the northwest and northeast. So instead of wasting too much money, on acquiring arms and ammunition and so on, let us rearrange. Let us find a way. After every war, there must still be coming, to a round table to negotiate.
So if you're saying negotiate with this bandit, isn't that an impetus for other people to carry arms? Because now they say they will think that whatever they are doing, they are bringing the government to its knees to negotiate with them.
Well, you see, whether you like it or not, banditry did not begin today, did not begin yesterday, and something must have caused it. We have to look at it. We have to, invite our psychologists, to come today to give us and let us find out, investigate what is the cause of banditry in Nigeria. When did it start? How did it start?
Mr. Shitu, even the coinage and the use of word the bandit it could be an initial word for those who will storm people's farms, storm people's homes, and cut away whatever they do. That describes a bandit. But people who goes into schools and cut away children in their school are no longer bandits. They are pure terrorists. I mean, I would refuse to call them bandits.
How do we solve
So how do you then describe a situation where the government now begin to sit down with these criminal terrorist elements?
The important thing for government is to solve this problem of banditry. If there are 100 ways of solving the problem, you have to try as many of those methods to ensure that we have peace, to ensure that these people lay down their arms and ammunition, and to, add value to their own lives for them to be able to also contribute, to nation building.
Hasn't it become a major business enterprise?
It is
because they're collecting a lot of money for ransom.
There are possibilities. There are possibilities.
This state police debate. What do you think about it?
Are they going to bring the members of the state police? Are they going to bring them from heaven? Will they not be the same Nigerians many of who are already in the Nigerian police? If you are criticizing Nigerian police for that they are not effective enough, I mean, are you bringing wizards and witches and angels for those people? I mean, into the.
So you don't think state police is the way to go?
I want to believe that we already have a Nigerian police force made up of diverse citizens from all parts of the country. The only argument people clamoring for the state police is the fact that perhaps they post people who are strangers, aliens, to certain areas, they post them to those places, and then they are not able to know, their left from the right. Let us improve on the, admission of people or employment of people into the police. Let us strengthen them. If it is that we should put people in areas where they come from or where they know better. There are a lot of Igbos, for instance, who were born in Lagos. There are a lot of Yorubas born in Kano, born in Sokoto, who know those areas more than, their original, places. So really that argument is, because my fear, you are trying to empower state governors more. And a lot of these state governors have really killed the third arm of government. I mean, the third tier of government. Because our federation is based on a tripod of federal, state, and local government. There's hardly any state in this country today where we have a local government system where people there are really local and are also governments in actual fact. Most of our local governments are neither local nor are they governments. They operate and exist as apron string of the respective executives.
If there is one way to handle some of these myriads of problems, because I'm very certain that President Bola Tinubu will want to write his name in gold and want to leave a lasting legacy. As your final word tonight, how would you think that he should go about this?
Well, the problems are already monumental and they are diverse. And because we worked for him, we supported him because of the legacy that he had in Lagos. We were confident that having run Lagos State successfully, by all standards, he has necessary experience and exposure, to be able to handle the nation as a whole. I want to believe that looking back, he must be able to reflect and use the same intelligence that God had given him, to manage Nigeria. I have no doubt in his capability of doing exactly that, having, regard to his antecedents and his exposure and all of that. And, one area that we have to work at, we always talk of our Naira, being weak. What are we producing as a nation? We can earn us foreign exchange. We have a country with sufficient millions of acres of land, fertile land for that matter, in a country where the rain falls when it should fall, where the sun shines where it should shine, where there's nothing you grow in this country that does not have a market waiting for it at the international level. We must see agriculture as our number one priority in reestablishing it. And I want to commend the governor of Niger State for the vanguard position he's taking his state into. Agric is number one. Let everybody go into agri, particularly all the students, Nigerian students or graduates of agriculture. Government, what Awolowo did then was to establish farm settlements and deploy all the products of School of Agric Akure at that time into these farm settlements. We must go back to that. Get every graduate of agriculture into farm settlements, not as employees of government, but self-employed people. Give them land, give them equipment, give them seedlings, and give them some matching grant.
All right. Mr. Adebayo Shitu is a former Minister of Communication and a lawyer. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you. We take a break, everyone. When we return, we'll be talking about President Tinubu's approval fund to facilitate effective infrastructure development across the pivotal areas of agriculture, transportation, ports, aviation, energy, healthcare, and education in Nigeria. The fund will invest in critical national projects that will, among other things, promote growth, enhance local value addition, create employment opportunities, and stimulate technological innovation and export. The president made his announcement yesterday. Let's get some insight now on what this means and where these monies will be coming from and what exactly is the purpose which these is to serve. Of course, the objectives are out there and the areas, the pivotal areas which this fund is supposed to target are already there. Aliyu Audu is the essay to the President of Public Affairs. He joins me to shed light on some of these issues. Thank you so much, Mr. Audu, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me, Sheon. Good evening, Nigerians.
Yeah, so intervention fund, infrastructure fund. What give birth to this?
Economic stability, signs of economic stability bettered this. For whatever reason, a lot of people still don't understand the fact that it is up to us to determine how much we can get out of a stable environment. But ensuring stability requires certain critical decisions to be made. And we have to make those decisions. And we are going to have to endure the immediate inconveniences. Because at the very sign of working policy, it's the sign that there's actually light at the end of the tunnel. This is where we are right now. We are seeing stability across board. And the real sector is going to gain some level of renewed hope, through this renewed hope in infrastructure investment that is going to come in. What this is been, we have looked at, the government, Mr. President has looked at all of the similar project ventures in the past, what they've been able to achieve, where the challenges were, what needed to be done right, and he has put them into what this is, and he has created the enabling environment where investors across board, both locally, internationally, see sense of direction in what he's doing. They see stability, they see normalcy returning, and there have been a lot of contacts from different angles as to people who want to invest in Nigeria. There have been a lot of inflow of foreign direct investment. This is as a result of the people seeing the direction we're going, and they can experience stability.
So this fund was announced yesterday by the president. It was approved yesterday by the president. Yes. So this is different from the budgetary allocation in this different sector because it touches on aviation, roads, rails, transportation, education. So this is totally different. This is a special pool of funds, majorly for infrastructure.
Now, the budgetary allocation is just a subset of the Renewed Hope Infrastructure Fund, as it is. It's just a part of it. If you go back to the promises of Mr. President during the campaign, he highlighted the fact that the infrastructural demand of Nigeria today is so enormous that we will need to pump in as much as $35 billion every year to be able to catch up for the next 10 years. The government does not have that money, amongst other things. And the only way to achieve this is to apply whatever you have judiciously. And you have to be smart about it. And you have to use your application to create solutions to problems that you have identified. Because the way the law works, it's about, we are here praying for rain. But we don't go about with our umbrella. It's that we don't think it's going to rain. But we know what we are doing is right. Then we know what is supposed to be done next. And we talked about policy, program, then projects. This is a program. because we've seen the workability. Results have shown that the policies are right. It didn't really come.
Which of the policies would you say is right?
All of the policies made so far: removal of subsidy, what's it called, the unification of forex. They're all right in every sense of it.
Are they achieving the results?
Oh yes, that is why we are able to build on it and bring in. That's why, Mr. President, it's signed.
The economic climate is not looking like what you're describing.
What do you mean economic climate?
But the indices.
What are the indices? What do the figures show you?
The inflation rate.
Global. That's global.
I'm talking about Nigeria. If we are to discuss global economics, we will get into that. But let's talk about Nigerian economy. Let's talk about the inflation rate in the last two cycles, two releases by the NBS.
Mr. Sheung.
Let's talk about food inflation.
Mr. Sheung, there have been a lot of reason for shortages of food supply from the agricultural sector, and if we look back at how this has been, then we tell ourselves that we should not be so quick to I'm not even talking about the current government, but even the previous government. Because when we look at where we were some 10 years ago, when it was raining, how we failed to save, even though we were warned by the managers of economy locally and internationally, then we refused. I think it's us hoping that miracle prayers going into church or mosque or fasting will fix our problem. No, they don't. You've got to work to fix your problem. Nigeria works when Nigerians work. Prayers don't fix problem. And it takes time. We need to get used to that. It's not magic. It's not like you do. It takes time. We're going to have to. We put ourselves in this. We did.
What do you mean by we put ourselves?
Oh, yes. The contractors, the past leaders, the regular. We sacrifice value for money as a people. We worship money. Mr. President can't say that enough. We need to move our mindset from the idea of worshiping money. We've forgotten what value is. And everything we want to do is money. We have rich people whose value to the society we can't even point at. But that is what Mr. President is trying to return. Let's have value for ourselves. Let's have value for what we do. Let's demand value for every second, every penny that is paid, whether public or private. That's where we are. And that's what the renewed hope is about.
This particular infrastructure fund that the president is talking about, is this fund going to be borrowed?
Now, like I was saying, part of it is going to be, the fund first is going to be managed by the Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority. You know that the federal government, state government, and the local government, they're in charge. This is collective. The 3 tiers of government have that. It's just going to be managers of these funds. However, the real source of this fund, budgetary allocation is just a part of it. All the other possible, we have a number of lined up investors from across the world who are interested in investing in infrastructure in Nigeria. Some of them have started coming in, but this is like it's not an SPV now. It's just that program that directs how whatever we are going to invest in infrastructure is an improvement of where we are coming from. Where we are coming from, we do infrastructure like feasibility, like we do it for the sake of it. No economic attachment to it, no value chain, no nothing. We spend 1.2 billion project building bridges, and you go to the community. There are no new businesses. There is nothing that impacts in that place. It's just contract money moved from federal government to private pockets, and you see what you see.
Is that not going on right now?
No, it isn't.
This economy?
No, it isn't. I can tell you that it isn't.
So let's look at quickly, because I have a few grounds to cover in terms of what this fund is meant to be, and I'm curious to know whether or not this is not in the usual way that they create programs and funds, and at the end of the day, we do not see value for it. But the objectives are very clear from what the federal government has put out there to establish innovative infrastructure investment, to attract and consolidate capital, serving as a dynamic driver for economic advancement, to execute strategic and meticulously chosen national infrastructure projects across several key sectors, efficiently utilize and aggregate accessible low-interest loans such as concessionary loans and Euro bonds, Guarantee Nigeria secures the most advantageous arrangement for financing, construction, and subsequently operation and maintenance of the identified projects. Now, this is the areas that interest me the most. The areas that have been selected, the pivotal areas, has been described by the federal government for this fund. One is agriculture. And let's look at some of the projects that this government said it wants to execute under agriculture. The establishment of national food storage facilities. Can you tell us what this is all about, if we don't already have some of this?
All right. The National Communication Team, led by the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, the Special Advisor on Information Strategy, Mr. Bayo Onanuga, the Senior Special Assistant, Mr. Tunde Rahman, and Tatunji, Ortega, Egudada, myself, and a host of others took a tour for agricultural initiative of the last government. Went to Jigawa, the Hadeja Jamari water project, the dry irrigation farming, and I tell you that, you know, it was exciting to see that we have hectares of land cultivated in the dry season. I'm not talking about hearsay. I went into the farm. I felt them myself. We saw, you know, we saw them harvesting corn that were planted in January, this January. Then the width, you know, in regime that we saw was planted. I think it was December or thereabout. You know, dry season, and we saw the water project. It means we are beginning to apply our experience, our knowledge over the years. We are beginning to show sense of determination to succeed as a people. See, give credit to the Jigawa state government. I mean, at some point, the previous government, Lamido, invested in infrastructure heavily. Then the last government invested in agriculture. You know, and they are reaping the result right now. It's a peaceful town, very peaceful, purposeful, hardworking. I mean, we were driving through the town and there were no people, you know, waving you because they were. By the time we got towards the farm area, we saw a lot of people, you know, they were in farms. You know, so it is not as whether it has been done before. It's that all of these that were done before, we have seen where the lapses are, and we are improving on it. You know, this is what the renewed hope means. It's not just...
And for example, this agriculture focus on the agriculture, national food storage facilities, irrigation system, ranching,
entire value chain.
So, and
the entire agricultural
the document says that it's going to be spread across the different regions of the country.
Oh yes, oh yes. And part of that is the real part of it is a dedicated, purposeful, what's it called, design for progress. I mean, we're looking at the rail that will join the urban cities, looking at roads that will join cities where that will focus on agricultural infrastructure, roads that lead to farm, roads that connect cities. I mean, these are the direction that we need to start putting in our money so that the real sector, and what this is coming to do is just work with the private sector, local and international, to raise the required funds, you know, to develop an intentional, a deliberate infrastructure that is designed to support a growth that is already planned on. Mr. President has a 28 trillion naira budget. He didn't think he was going to borrow. He trusted himself enough to be able to make the right decision and get us out of where we are.
I'm still curious as to where these funds are going to come from.
I just told you there's the budgetary allocation. Yeah. Then we're going to have PPPs. We already have people.
So it's going to be private sector, foreign investments.
And local investment.
And they won't be borrowing at all? Would there be borrowing to fund this
project? We won't have to borrow.
At all?
I'm not telling you. See, now this is where we get it clear. If we get to the stage where all bets are off, where everything else doesn't work and borrow is the way, trust me, we will borrow. But I'm saying we won't get there.
All right, let's look at other projects like port revitalization. This government says that with this scheme, this program, it will rejuvenate port facilities and associated infrastructure, modernizing port facilities, implementing advanced monitoring system in aviation, and said they will upgrade most of the airports. They will do a comprehensive refurbishment, improvement in terminal facilities, runway expansions, implementation of cutting-edge technologies, enhanced safety and operational efficiency, In road, there are specific focus on Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road, the Sokoto-Badagry Road, and they say they will enhance connectivity, facilitate transport efficiency, and stimulate economic development across regions. And rail infrastructure, they will focus on the Lagos-Kano and the Eastern Rail Line. These are some of those things contained in this document. And is there a timeline for the achievement of all of this?
Yeah, I mean, if you go through some of this, you find out that there's something seemingly, I mean, it has something that looks like what we had in the Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund. I mean, I saw plenty of work, you know, on our road trip between Kano to Ringim, all of those. I saw plenty of their project done there. But like I told you earlier, there are areas, especially in process and project management. You understand? Process and project management that was not, you know, put into play. We did not apply our experience, we did not apply our knowledge. What this renewed hope infrastructure has aimed to improve on that is, you see, when a project has been designed, I mean, there is a workflow. The detail of it now we'll get to in short time is that when a project has been established to be essential to national development, and everything, all of the stakeholders agree on what this should be, the costing, the process. As a matter of fact, the contractors are going to have to submit a certain kind of report at certain stages to demand work done that will require all stakeholders' investigation to approve before funds are released. And this will have to be in line with the scope, time, and cost. I mean, we're talking stability. All of the things that have affected contracts over the years are like things that we do not control. If you live in an economy where you sell oil, then you make money, then you go and set it on fire, which was what we're doing in Subsidy and in bailing out Naira. Right now, Naira is strong enough, and in all of these projects, we are going to create collective value upon which Naira will reflect its actual value.
As this government highlighted the timeline every year of what it wants to achieve so that we can be able to keep track. And the question in my mind is, what makes this government different? This sounds like what we have seen and heard before. There are lofty, good ideas that past governments have brought out to the public, but it has not materialized. How is the Tinubu government different in this kind of project?
Because it's the man who knows how prepared he is, and he's assured of victory, and he knows his ability, he believes in himself. You see, the good thing about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is like he's the average Nigerian. We believe in ourselves. Especially we know we have what it takes against all odds, and we always prove it. But in the private sector, he did it. As a senator, he did it. As a Lagos State governor,
I'm asking a simple question.
I am telling you that 9 months is too early in the life of 48 months administration to want to ask if you should doubt him, especially when his track record speaks volume as to how to decide.
So you're asking Nigerians to trust the president?
Oh yes, trust in the process.
Across the nation, there will be, it will literally turn Nigeria into a construction site.
Take that to the bank.
So between now and when should we expect the kickoff of this fund, the actual hitting the ground and tilling the ground on some of these?
Before the beginning of the third quarter, you know, for all of the process involved. I mean, this president has stressed enough how expedited he wants this to be. And everybody in the team understand. You can see the body language. I mean, we know what it is when you come up with a very beautiful strategy and mixed culture that is very rotten, but gradually, they believe that we can dig ourselves out of this. They believe that the solution to our problem is in us. It's coming in, and you're seeing that movement. So it is creating that hope that, yes, what I see at the end of the tunnel is actually light. And if I play my part, the light will be brighter.
Aliyu Audu is an SA to President Bola Tinubu on public affairs, and has been speaking with us on the planned infrastructure fund of the Tinubu government. Thank you so much indeed for your time.
Thank you for having me, Shehu.
Yeah. That's our show for today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. I'll see you tomorrow. God bless Nigeria.